So you're thinking about going solar? You probably think it's all about the numbers, a simple math problem, right? Well, as we're about to find out, the real decision is actually way more fascinating than that.
Look, it doesn't matter if you're running a company or just thinking about your own home. This is almost always the first question that pops into your head. It's the practical, logical place to start for what could be a really big, strategic investment.
And yeah, there's a tool that can give you some incredibly clear answers. But, and this is the interesting part, the numbers alone often aren't enough to get people over the finish line. We're going to dig into both the hard logic and the surprisingly human reasons that really drive this decision.
All right, first things first, let's frame this whole thing the right way. We're not just talking about putting some panels on a roof. We're talking about a huge shift in how we think about and manage energy itself.
This quote just nails it. Think about it. With costs always going up and everyone talking about sustainability, energy decisions have literally jumped from being a maintenance issue to a C-suite strategy session. It's a choice about your finances, your resilience, and even what your brand stands for.
So with a decision this big sitting on the table, where do you even begin? Well, you start with a tool that's designed to cut through all the complexity and bring some clarity, the solar panel calculator.
And just to be super clear, we are not talking about the tiny solar cell on your pocket calculator. Nope. In the energy world, this is a seriously sophisticated planning tool. It's basically your first step to turning a whole mess of data into a real, actionable plan.
So how's this thing work? It's a pretty logical 5-step process. First, it digs into your actual power usage, not just some vague average, but your real daily and seasonal habits. Then, it gets all nerdy with satellite and weather data for your exact address to figure out how much sun you're actually going to get. Next up, it calculates your usable space, working around vents and chimneys. After that, you get to pick the tech. And finally, you plug in all the money stuff, costs, local energy prices, and any sweet incentives you can get.
And here's where the magic happens. The calculator just spits out this beautifully clear set of numbers. The perfect system size for you, how much power it'll make, and, the big one, your annual savings. It gives you that all-important payback period, which is often just 3 to 5 years for a business, which is incredibly fast. Your ROI, and even how much you're helping the planet. Okay, so if the calculator paints such a clear, financially positive picture, you'd think we'd see solar panels on every single building. But we don't. And that's because the numbers, believe it or not, are only half the story.
This is the question that changes everything. And the answer isn't buried in a spreadsheet or a technical manual. It's in the messy, fascinating, and, let's be honest, sometimes totally irrational world of human psychology.
So you've basically got this tug of war going on inside our brains. On one side, you have all those logical drivers we just talked about, the ROI, the savings. But on the other side, you have these powerful hidden barriers. Our weird tendency to just stick with what we know, that's status quo bias. The massive influence of what our neighbors are doing, what researchers call peer effects. Our brain's habit of focusing on today's costs instead of tomorrow's savings. And a huge one, whether or not we actually trust the institutions behind the whole thing.
And don't underestimate how powerful this stuff is. Take social norms. Get this. Studies show that for every new solar installation in a zip code, the odds of another one nearby go up by almost a full percentage point. It's like a real-life domino effect. And look at institutional trust. If people don't trust the government or the utility company offering the deal, they're just not going to do it. It doesn't matter how good the numbers are.
Okay, so this whole human psychology thing gets even wilder when we stop talking about one person's roof and start talking about a giant field full of solar panels. Because it turns out, the size of the project completely changes how we feel about it.
And wow, is there a difference? Rooftop solar. Everybody loves it. It's seen as a smart use of space that's already there, and the benefits go to someone in the community. But huge solar farms, they can face some serious opposition. People worry about losing farmland, changing the look of the countryside, and it triggers the classic "not in my backyard" response, even from people who say they support solar energy. But there's this really innovative solution that's gaining ground called agrovoltaics. It's a super smart idea, using the same piece of land for both solar panels and farming. You put the panels high up over crops or pastures, so you get clean energy and you get food production, all from the same spot. The panels can even help some crops by giving them shade. It's a total win-win that tackles that land use problem head-on.
So how do we actually get from a great idea on a calculator to a successful project on the ground? It's all about bridging that gap between the rational and the psychological. It's about turning that cold, hard data into a decision that people can actually get excited about.
And to get there, it is so important to use these tools the right way and avoid some rookie mistakes. For instance, don't just use an average electric bill. You need the detailed hour-by-hour data. Don't just assume your entire roof is usable space. And maybe most important of all, please remember the calculator is an estimation tool. It's the beginning of the conversation, not the final blueprint. You always need a pro to come out and validate it.
This quote really just wraps it all up perfectly, doesn't it? At the end of the day, the decision to go solar isn't just about the money. It's this complex human story where financial logic bumps up against our values, our communities, our trust, and all those funny little biases that shape every choice we make.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought. As solar technology gets better and cheaper literally every year, maybe the biggest barrier left isn't what's on our roofs, but what's between our ears.